All right, so thank you for tuning in to Chomping at the Bit. I'm Kyle Edwards, of course. And I know it's been a few days since I last talked to you. Was busy with some other stuff. Because normally I have my midweek episode where I go over the previous week in the NFL. Didn't do that. So I got pushed, and I'm going to talk about it on this episode. That way I can still, do the episode where I preview Sunday and Monday games. Get that to you this weekend before kickoff on Sunday. So, for those of you who are new, I do NFL picks every week. And by the end of the season, I want to be around 60%. Right now, my record is 40, 39, and 1 as I pick against the spread. So I don't just pick the winners. I do it against the spread for the challenge. And those of you who don't know what the spread is, the sports books or whatever, they assign a basic score value where one team is the favorite, of course. They are assigned minus in a certain score, which means they have to win by that much to cover. The underdog is plus the same score. So obviously if they win, they cover. But if they lose, they can't lose by more than that number. And I mean, that's the simplest way to explain the spread. Like I said, 40, 39, and 1. This week we had 14 games to look at, as we had our first week of buys. So 4 teams on the bye this week were the Falcons, the Saints, 49ers, and the Jets. Outside of that, everybody else was in action. And, let's go ahead and get started with the Thursday night game, which was the Buccaneers and the Eagles. I took the Bucs minus the 7. And for the most part throughout the game, it looked like a pretty safe bet. But the fourth quarter, the Buccaneers were scoreless as they were kind of, sitting on the ball, running out the clock. And the Eagles got a touchdown and 2-point conversion to bring the game within 6. But they wouldn't get any closer as the Buccaneers won 28-22. So it's a loss since the spread was 7. And that's one of those backdoor covers for the underdog that just kill you when you bet with the favorite. Well, I guess when you pick the favorite. I ain't actually bet anything on these. But yeah, so Brady threw 2 more touchdown passes. Like I said, for the most part, until the fourth quarter, the game wasn't that close, so the defense played well against Jalen Hurts. Buccaneers improved to 5-1, and they are atop the NFC South for sure, and I believe they are tied. Well, no, they're still a game behind the Cardinals for the top spot in the NFC. Eagles fall to 2-4, and I mean, it's not a season where the Eagles are expected to do much, so I mean, it's just getting Hurts experience at this point. If they win a few games here, they're fine. But so yeah, 28-22 score was closer than the actual game was. And I guess a quick thing to look at for the Bucs, they are starting to deal with some injuries, and we'll have to see how that plays out for the rest of the season. Because I think they missed. I think they had like a couple of corners get hurt. Richard Sherman got hurt in this game, who they literally just picked up. Was it a few days ago? Well, prior to the Sunday game, of course. So it's been like a week now. But yeah, he was out. I think he had a hamstring injury. Which I guess makes sense because he hadn't played in a while. So, that's something to look at. The secondary was already down a few people. Now he's gone. We'll have to see how long he's going to be out for. They still have Gronk dealing with the rib injury. Levante David has an injury. So, I mean, it's not something that will derail their season, per se, but something to see when they go up against tougher opponents. And if these players are still out or whatever, is that something that does affect them for the next few weeks? Let's go ahead and take a look at the next game. Dolphins-Jaguars was the game over in London Sunday morning. Gotta say, for a London game between a winless Jaguars team and a one-win Dolphins team, this game was actually wildly entertaining. It was, I guess, a good showing for the crowd over there in England. I think they were at Tottenham? Yeah, I think they were at the Tottenham Stadium. And it came down to the wire. It was a 53-yarder from the Jaguars kicker that won the game and ended a 20-game skid for the Jaguars, getting Urban Meyer, Trevor Lawrence, and those guys their first win in the NFL. And it continues the rough season for the Dolphins as they fall to 1-5. Jaguars improved to 1-5. But the Dolphins were a team that, there was some expectations for them. And now what we're seeing is that you're starting to hear the rumors with Deshaun Watson pop up again because, a 1-5 and Tua with the question marks with his health and the ability to stay healthy throughout a full season because of, his stature or whatever. And, Deshaun Watson is just sitting down there in Houston. I think there is a little urgency for Miami to go ahead and try to make a deal there. From what I'm hearing or what I read, it looks like any deal for Watson's going to start off with like 3 first-round picks. And then you go on from there. It's probably going to have to be some players involved and all this kind of stuff. At this point, Miami really has nothing to lose. They'll get an upgrade at the quarterback position. And you kind of use the rest of this year to, get him. Watson's still young, so there shouldn't be too much rust when he does get back to playing, if he does this year, because we still don't know what Goodell's going to do when he is actually activated on a roster. Will Goodell's kind of step in and just put him on the commissioner's exempt list while all that outside stuff continues to sort itself out? But if I'm Miami, I can get Deshaun Watson. I go ahead and do it because I know what Deshaun Watson is. With Tua, you're still trying to figure out what he can be. And if you're having questions about his health and if he has the durability to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, then you got to pull the trigger and get the upgrade. And for Jaguars, like I said, ended a 20-game skid. So that weight has been lifted off their shoulder. Maybe they can play a little more loose now. And, obviously they're not going to be a playoff team this year, but maybe they start to play better. Start building, some momentum, some good fortune within the clubhouse. And, evaluate their talent the rest of this year. Go back into the draft, upgrade there. We'll see, because obviously Trevor Lawrence is a keeper. It was unfortunate that Travis Etienne, the running back they drafted as well, got hurt. But they did have Jerome Robinson and all that, so But we also got to see with Urban Meyer what's going on there. If he makes it through the rest of the year, we all know that he's kind of on double secret probation with the team, as he was told that he has to earn the trust back. So this is definitely a step in the right direction, getting a win, because as we all know, winning heals all. So, like I said, both teams are now 1-5. Actually, I forgot to say. So Jaguars won 23-20. I took the Jaguars plus the 30. That was a win. Next game, Packers versus the Bears. I took the Bears plus 6 in this one. My thinking was that Justin Fields and the offense were building towards something, and I thought they'd be able to, make some plays, keep the game close, not necessarily win the game, but definitely keep the game like within a touchdown. And I thought Khalil Mack and that defense could give Aaron Rodgers some pressure and, maybe force him into a not so typical day for him. Well, didn't exactly go that way. Green Bay won 24-14. And Aaron Rodgers accounted for all the touchdowns. He threw for 2 touchdowns, and then he ran for the 3rd touchdown. So the Packers are now 5-1. Coming into this year, the Packers had a lot of question marks about what Aaron Rodgers' mental state is with the team. Has he checked out? Is he happy with his weapons? Is Matt LaFleur the right guy to coach him? And with all that, they're 5-1. I said before the season started that we know that Aaron Rodgers has a little bit of Brett Favre in him. He likes the extra attention. And at least for right now, he's going out in the field. He's performing well enough. Got them at 5-1. Now with Green Bay, of course, all the spotlight's gonna really turn up once they hit the playoffs. Because it's kind of foregone conclusion they're gonna win that division. But it's the playoffs where we need to see Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur step up. Because for as great as Aaron Rodgers is, claimed to be within the media and all that, he still has that one Super Bowl ring, and that's his only Super Bowl appearance. And for a guy who some people see as the greatest talent at the quarterback position ever, in an era run by quarterbacks, need a little more than that. So to me, regular season means nothing. I'll start paying real attention come playoffs to see what he can do there. For the Bears fall to 3-3. And, it's not that big of a deal, because with each week that passes, Justin Fields is getting more and more comfortable with the NFL offense, with the NFL speed, with kind of the atmosphere of the NFL, which will pay off not necessarily this year, but next year. Which, once again, is why I thought they should have started him week 1. But we're past that now. He's gotten a few games under his belt now. And, these games where, offensively they look not so great will pay off. So for the Bears, next year I think all this will pay off for them. And I seriously think that they could be a team that is a real threat in that division. They still may be, because they're only 2 games behind Green Bay. And they still have another game with Green Bay later on in the year. But it doesn't get any easier for them, because they have a game against the Bucs this weekend, I believe. And that's going to be a tough one, of course. So Sitting at 3-3, they could fall below 500, but like I said, not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. Let's go to the next game. Bengals Lions. I took the Bengals minus the 3.5. Not really much to go into this one because I clearly took the Bengals because the Lions are who they are. With the Jaguars winning earlier on Sunday, the Lions were now the last remaining winless team. We know it was last week with Dan Campbell, the coach, with the emotional press conference after the game. So wanted to see how they were going to come out in this one. And Cincinnati was in control throughout. Joe Burrow threw 3 touchdowns. Even though he was coming back from, it was like the voice contusion thing, which still don't really understand. Like, does that mean he just has like a sore throat? But he was on like voice rest or whatever. So, it's probably one of the more odd injuries that I've heard of recently. But I mean, continue to play like this. I mean, I don't care. You rest your voice all season for all I care. But the Bengals got the job done. Win 34-11. Win there. Bengals improved to 4-2. Keeping pace in that AFC North division where they have to look up at the Ravens. You've got the Browns. They're right there with you. You have the Steelers right there with you. So a win against the Lions team on the road is a win you need to have if you really want to turn this season into something special. And I've said before that I like the direction of this Bengals team. Zach Taylor, the coach there, is definitely building something. Joe Burrow. Getting Jamar Chase was a big deal this offseason, and it's paying off big time for them. He is a go-to guy for Burrow when he gets into trouble. And he's definitely gone way past those drop issues that he had in the preseason to now becoming a top flight rookie wide receiver in the game. Possibly a offensive rookie of the year candidate. And yeah, so the Bengals are a team I'm keeping my eye on. 4-2 is not something you're used to seeing with Bengals teams, but like I said, there's something building within that organization. Lions, like I said, last winless team 0-6. Nothing more to say. It's the Lions. So we'll move on. Next game. Colts Texans. I took the Texans plus 10 here. I mean, what can I say? I guess I only did it because I wanted to think that maybe Davis Mills getting, the opportunity that he could sneak up on some teams, keep some games close, and, get a couple of backdoor covers with double-digit spreads, that kind of thing. Once again, that did not happen in this one. The Colts came out, put it on them from the start, won the game 31-13. That's clearly a loss there. Colts are now 2-4. They have won back-to-back games now. So, they dug themselves a hole going 0-4, but winning 2 straight, starting to dig themselves out of it. Not too sure if they can overcome going 0-4 to start, but I mean, they win a couple more, get to 4-4. You're right at 500. And I'm pretty sure if they can do that, they would be right in the thick of a playoff race. I mean, the statistical history isn't on their side, as most teams who start 0-4 have really no shot at a playoff spot. But in that division, they can capitalize on playing the Texans twice, the Jaguars twice. You know, if they can split with the Titans, I mean, that's 5 wins right there. I mean, obviously 5 wins get you nowhere, but I mean, that's a leg up on a lot of teams who, you know, can't guarantee wins like that in their division. So you can't completely write the Colts off yet, but they are kind of hanging on by a thread. The Texans, I mean, the Texans are like the Lions. They're going to be fighting for the number 1 pick in next year's draft. Problem is that the Lions have, you know, Jared Goff as a quarterback. Texans have Davis Mills. Not really sure if he's the answer there. And next year, the quarterback class is kind of weak. So, I mean, I don't know if there's reason for a lot of optimism in Houston right now. Best bet is they can find a partner for Deshaun Watson, like I was talking about earlier with Miami. You know, stockpile a bunch of draft picks and just take a bunch of shots at the dartboard and hope you hit a bullseye or two. And then really get the rebuild process started with whatever you got. Next game. Rams, Giants. Took the Rams -8. Once again, Giants are struggling mightily, dealing with injuries. So, seemed like a no-brainer to go with the Rams here. And, I mean, not a shock to me. Stafford threw for 4 touchdowns. The defense forced 4 touchdowns of the Giants. That's a recipe for a blowout, and it was 38-11 in there. And what can we say? The Rams are a good team. If they can keep Stafford healthy and upright, they will definitely be a team to be reckoned with throughout the year. They have Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods. Love that wide receiver duo. They have Henderson Jr. in the backfield. I mean, he's a steady running back for their system. They still have Sony Michel as a backup. I mean, the pieces are there for the Rams to do something this year. But like I said, the key for them is to keep Stafford healthy. And for Stafford, it's going to be dealing with the expectations because he didn't have to deal with that at the Lions. There was never really any talk of Super Bowl or playoff run or anything like that throughout his years there. But with the Rams, a lot of people are looking at the Rams to possibly make a Super Bowl appearance this year. Like I said, you got all those pieces on offense. You have Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey on the defense. It's a team that, I mean, depending on seeding and all that, should at least make the NFC Championship game. And I think if they don't, it's going to be a real disappointment. And I don't know, not really going to lead to many changes, but it'll just definitely be a disappointment because making the trade for Stafford was showing that they were going all in to make another run at a Super Bowl. So that's the lingering narrative throughout this season for the Rams. And so like I said, yeah, they improved to 5-1. Giants are 1-5. I think before the year started, I thought the Giants could, depending on what happened with Dallas, possibly steal that division. Well, clearly, that's not happening. I'm sitting at 1-5. They are with like 4 games behind the Cowboys. And just from the eye test, the Cowboys are a much better team than the Giants are. And with the Giants dealing with the injuries that they have as well, I don't think it's going to be too pretty down in East Rutherford for the Giants. I think they're still in East Rutherford, right? Yeah. Yeah, they haven't built the football stadium in New York for them or anything. So, yeah, definitely disappointing for the Giants, but we'll move on. Next game, Chiefs and the football team, Washington football team, took the Chiefs minus the 6.5. I mean, we've talked about this for the past few weeks. The Washington defense has definitely let me down, as I thought coming into the season with Chase Young and those guys up front and the ability that they had last year to put pressure on opposing quarterbacks with just the front 4. I thought this could be a special defense because you have Ron Rivera's coach. He's a defensive-minded guy. But I don't know what's going on with the scheme or the personnel. It just hasn't clicked this year. Maybe they got too full of themselves and believe in the hype and just haven't been able to put it together. But another week, another blowout as the Chiefs won 31-13. And that was after a half where I think the first half Washington went into halftime up 13-10. And then went scoreless through the second half, while Kansas City was able to put up 21 points. And so for Mahomes and the Chiefs, bounce back game. They get back to 3-3, back to 500. Probably they're probably the best that they've looked recently. I mean, they still have their deficiencies defensively themselves, but Washington wasn't able to capitalize on any of that. Offensively, there is an issue of turnovers because what we're starting to see is Mahomes is turning over the ball like once or twice a game. And it seems like at least one of those turnovers is like a pass going through Tyreek Hill's hands and then being tipped in the air, interception that way. 'Cause I feel like that's happened the past like 2-3 weeks. Don't know what's going on there. I don't know if it's just something of the Chiefs, still trying to get over the loss in the Super Bowl, and I don't know, but like I said, the Chiefs got the win here, but they still just don't look right to me. Something's missing. I can't really put my finger on what it is. I mean, I'd probably point to the defensive side of the ball, but yeah, because we saw in this game, like Tyrann Mathieu at times in the first half, and I think in the third quarter, being vocal on the sidelines and all that kind of stuff, very demonstrative when, they had some missed assignments with Washington, especially I think late in the second quarter. And I don't know, maybe this is a game that they can rally behind and start to shore up their defensive issues. But if it does continue, I don't see them getting back to the Super Bowl because there are some good offenses in the AFC who can take advantage of their perceived deficiencies defensively. But I don't know. 3-3, still plenty of football left. We'll have to re-examine where Kansas City is in a few weeks. And Washington falls to 2-4. Another disappointing loss, like I said. The offense just isn't good enough to put up, 20, 25 points consistently. The defense isn't good enough to support this offense if they're only going to score, 13, 16 points. So that's the dilemma that Washington's dealing with on a week-to-week basis. Let's go ahead, move to the next game. We have the Vikings Panthers. I took the Panthers plus 2.5 on this one. I mean, it's two teams that are kind of going in different directions. The Panthers started the year 3-0. And now we're going into this game 3-2. A couple of losses back to back. I think the Vikings started 0-3 and had won 2 in a row coming into this game. So, like I said, two teams, very different trends, and the Vikings were able to get the win in overtime, 34-28, and improved to 3-3. The Panthers fall to 3-3. It was an entertaining game because the Vikings had a pretty decent lead heading into the fourth quarter. The Panthers were able to score a touchdown, get a 2-point conversion, get a field goal late in the fourth, force overtime. I did think when the Panthers did that, I thought they had snatched momentum from Minnesota and we're going to go into the overtime and get the win. Didn't happen. The Vikings, led by Kirk Cousins, he threw a touchdown pass in overtime to end it. And, yeah. Get the win, like I said, 34-28. That definitely changed the script on their season. Because, like I said, a few weeks ago, when they were sitting there winless, I thought there was no hope, and the Vikings are a team that have talent. Kirk Cousins is, he's a middle-of-the-road quarterback, but, you could do a lot worse than him. You have Dalvin Cook, who's a top running back when he's healthy. You have Adam Thielen. Love Adam Thielen. He's nothing but production year in and year out. You have Mike Zimmer as your coach. So, well-coached team. Well, he's a good coach. I wouldn't put him, top 5 in the game today, but he's a good coach in the league. But yeah, sitting at 3-3. You're 2 games behind Green Bay right now. It's a pretty good save of the season. You're tied with the Bears at 3-3. And, the Lions are 0-6, so you can write them off already. I don't know. Vikings, we'll have to do a wait and see with them. They could be a team who sneaks in at the bottom of the NFC playoff picture. Just thinking off the top of my head, because you figure NFC East is probably just going to be the Cowboys. NFC South, probably just Tampa Bay. Maybe the Saints. The Vikings got the battle with the NFC West teams because, you could get 3 teams out of there easily. So, but yeah, I would put the Vikings right there in that mix. No problem. For Carolina, like I said, it's just not looking good right now, especially with Christian McCaffrey hurt, and we know how much McCaffrey is to that offense. Sam Darnold, after the first 3 weeks, was riding high. After these last 3 weeks, I mean, it's definitely cooled on the hype train for him. I don't know. I don't know if the Panthers will, rally themselves out of this and get back to playing how they were the first 3 weeks, or maybe the first 3 weeks were fool's gold. They had the little honeymoon period with Sam Darnold, got a few wins early on, and maybe there was some overreaction about them possibly being a sneaky playoff team this year. I don't know, but definitely the Christian McCaffrey injury was a big loss for them. So not exactly the best of circumstances for them, but I don't know. We'll have to see if they can turn it back around. Let's go to the next game. Chargers, Ravens. I took the Chargers plus 2.5. I mean, I'm on the Chargers hype train. Love Justin Herbert. Keenan Allen's my guy. I mean, Keenan Allen's been maybe an under-the-radar top receiver in this league. I'm expecting, Chargers defense is, pretty good. Maybe a little better than some people think. And I thought with this matchup with the Ravens, would be a great test for them. But they've passed a few tests so far early in the season, so I thought it'd be the same thing here. Not necessarily, I don't know, not necessarily win the game, but be very competitive. Take a next step in Herbert's growth. Well, it was 34-6 Baltimore. Baltimore improves to 5-1. Chargers are now 4-2. Baltimore just shut down Herbert every which way. I know, was it Brandon Staley's their coach? I guess made some questionable calls throughout the game. They went for it on fourth down a few times. I think failed basically each time they went for it. Went for it a couple of times in their own end, failed, and then gave the Ravens offense a short field. And this game just got away from them early on, and it just kept slipping away from them. So, I mean, I know I get on Lamar Jackson in Baltimore a lot. I still say, I mean, even with them being 5-1, I still wouldn't put them as a Super Bowl favorite because I still need to see if Lamar consistently can, I guess, get the offense to put up numbers like this. If he can get better throwing the ball still. This game, what was he? 19 for 27, 167 yards passing. So they still rely heavily on the run. They had 187 yards on the ground. And we're starting to see some injuries in their backfield. Let's see, what was it like? Latavius Murray got hurt in this game, I think. And now they're down to starting, I think Devontae Freeman's going to start this weekend. And we know Devontae Freeman has his own injury issues, concussions and all that kind of stuff. So we'll have to see if, because obviously that's a big part of the offense is being able to shuttle in running back after running back to support Lamar Jackson because they do a lot of RPO. And if you keep taking running backs out of the rotation, then that lessens the options that they have in running RPO. And now more teams will kind of just start cluing in on Lamar Jackson. Does that lead to more hits? And he's not the biggest guy, so the more hits he takes, the closer he may be to an injury. So we'll have to see the next couple of weeks how they can navigate the loss of some of these running backs, and see if it will affect the offense in any way. For the Chargers, I mean, it was an off day for them. Hopefully it doesn't turn to another off day and then another. So hopefully they can bounce back. And who do they have coming up? Up next, Ravens have Cincinnati, so that's a big game there. Okay, so the Chargers are going into their bye. Okay. So they have an extra week to think about it and fix whatever issues they have coming out of that game. So I definitely expect them to bounce back after the bye week. Get back to looking like the team that we saw before this game against Baltimore. Like I said, for Baltimore, big game with Cincinnati. See how that plays out. Cincinnati, up and coming team in that division. Ravens are the team that wants to establish dominance. Definitely a great matchup. But let's move to the next game. Cardinals, Browns. I took the Cardinals plus the 3.5. Because I mean, I'm sold on the Cardinals. Like Kyler Murray. Was this past week we learned that they acquired Zach Ertz from the Eagles. I think it was a great move for them. Just gives Kyler Murray a outlet if he's looking deep and the play breaks down. Ertz is the guy you can hit in the short game, the intermediate game, and he's a reliable guy in the passing game. So it's just adding another weapon to a team where you have DeAndre Hopkins, you have A.J. Green, you have Christian Kirk. So, hey, the Cardinals could become an unstoppable offensive force. Just saying. And, in this game, Kyler Murray threw for 4 touchdowns. The Cardinals stay unbeaten. They won 37-14. In there. And in the process of this game, they beat up on Baker Mayfield. I mean, he took hit after hit. And as we learned after the game, he has a shoulder issue. And then as we learned throughout this week, he's got it was like a shoulder tear and a labrum issue or something. So I'm fully expecting him to be out a game or two, maybe even more. And with the Browns now sitting at 3-3, and their backup is Case Keenum. I think that's who the backup is. I mean, Case Keenum is a guy who's kind of like Nick Foles, that kind of mold where for a few weeks you could, get lightning in a bottle and they can win you a few games, but they're not the type of quarterback you want to see on an extended period where it's like 5-6 games, because then you'll start seeing reasons why they are a backup quarterback. And for Cleveland, they get Jarvis Landry back. Odell just came back. And those two can definitely help Keenum for these however many games he has to play, while Mayfield, it's the shoulder on his non-throwing hand, but I'm sure there's a lot of pain, and it probably is just something with pain tolerance at this point. So we'll have to see how long Keenum is playing. And for the Cardinals, the only team that's unbeaten, that's going to carry a lot of pressure week in and week out. But yeah, I like what's going on in Arizona. Expecting big things from them. Although, once again, that's all going to be based on keeping Kyler Murray healthy. Because he's also not the biggest guy. He has a tendency to take unnecessary hits. So, that's going to be the plan for them going forward. Keep Kyler Murray out of trouble. Let's go to the next game. What are we now into the 4 o'clock games, I think? So, it was Raiders, Broncos. I took the Raiders +4 in this one. I know have all that Gruden and all that stuff looming over their heads, but I just had a sneaky suspicion that they were going to kind of turn that into, I guess, motivation to play well. And against the Denver team, that's a divisional rival. Usually that right there is enough to get the teams up, to play their best, because the last thing the Raiders want to do is lose to the Broncos. So, Derek Carr threw a couple touchdown passes. Josh Jacobs had a touchdown. And the Raiders were able to take this one 34-24. Go to 4-2. Broncos fall to 3-3. Raiders, just looking at them on paper, they have a good team. Derek Carr, good quarterback, kind of underrated. Some people he's actually a little overrated. I don't know. Derek Carr is a weird guy to place in the, I guess, rankings of quarterbacks today. I think I talked about this on another episode, but, Steve Young and those guys keep talking about how the Raiders need to pay Derek Carr. My thinking is, I get where they're coming from, but looking at that division, my issue is that Derek Carr is probably, third best in that division. And he hasn't really proven anything yet. So, I think if he's able to get the Raiders to the playoffs this year, I have a feeling that they will pay him. But if it's another year where they fall short, I don't know. I don't know what the Raiders would do in that situation. But I can see where the Raiders organization's coming from with this, if they're kind of still in wait and see, even though Derek Carr's been there for a while now, but not like it's come with a lot of success on the field. So why give out a bunch of money to a guy if there's not a guarantee that, the team's going to be a perennial playoff team with possible threat every once in a while of making a deep playoff run? So, but they're at 4-2. They have a game coming up against who do they have coming up next? So the Eagles next. Then you got the Giants after, before they get the Chiefs on, I think Sunday night football in a few weeks. So there's the opportunity there to be sitting at 6-2 before that Chiefs game, and then see what happens there. So definitely an important couple of weeks for Oakland. I almost said Oakland Raiders, for the Vegas Raiders to get some more wins under their belt. Like I said, get to 6-2, then get to that Chiefs game, and depending where the Chiefs are, maybe you can knock them off, go to 7-2, and now your season's starting to come together. And, then the noise to pay Carr may get a little bit louder. And at that point, I could definitely see a scenario where the Raiders do try to pay him, I guess this offseason or something. But let's say they slip up these next two games, go to 4-4 before the Chiefs game, and lose at 4-5. Then they're kind of right back where, though they've kind of been past few years, hovering around 500, some disappointing losses, that kind of thing. So yeah, we'll see where the Raiders are come that Chiefs game in 3 weeks. Broncos, their season, I guess they're kind of at a crossroads here. The defense is normally better than this. I mean, they gave up 34. That's not a normal thing for this Broncos defense. Offensively, Bridgewater and Fant, and Melvin Gordon. That's good enough to keep you in some games. I don't know if it's dynamic enough to really get you over the hump into the playoffs, but I think 3-3 is fitting. I believe they're going to be a team that sits around 500 all year. So yeah, 3-3 doesn't surprise me at all. Let's go ahead and get these last 3 games done here. So now we're at Patriots Cowboys. I took the Patriots plus 3.5. I mean, probably a homer pick. No, big Patriots fan. But I was going off of the continued growth of Mac Jones, the comfortability that he continues to show, the continued growth of the offense, the ever-expanding playbook, all that kind of stuff. And I know the Cowboys are coming in at 4-1, but I actually expected it to be a game that was going to be really close at the end. And I think when I picked the Patriots at plus 3.5, I seriously thought that there could have been an upset there. Because I know Belichick's the type who, games like this where it seems like everybody's writing them off, expecting the Cowboys to blow them out or whatever, those are the games where Belichick does his best. We saw it just a couple weeks ago with the Bucs game. And then coming into this one, I thought it'd be the same thing here. And we actually got an overtime game. The Cowboys did get it, though, 35-29. Loss as they scored a touchdown in overtime with Dak rolling to his right, hitting CeeDee Lamb, who broke free from Jalen Mills and then scored. And in this game, it was Patriots up late. They got a missed field goal from the Cowboys deep in Patriots' end. Mac Jones comes out with an opportunity to get a few first downs to end the game. I think they ran the ball first down, didn't get anything. He tried a quick slant, second down. No. Backtrack. It was a quick slant over the middle. Aguilar dropped it. Third down, they tried another slant over the middle to Kendrick Bourne this time. Was picked up by Trayvon Diggs, and he returned it back for a pick 6. But the very next play is what I love about Mac Jones. So literally, like I said, throws the pick 6. Kickoff comes back. He runs out there. The very next play that gets called, he throws at Diggs again. A deep ball to Kendrick Bourne. Bourne catches it between Diggs and the safety. Eludes both of them. Scores a 75-yard touchdown. And like I said, I'm already on the Mac Jones train here. I think he was a perfect pick for this organization and for the organization in New England. and has shown already that he's a guy who can be a starting quarterback in this league. I'm not going to say he's a franchise quarterback yet because there's still some things that he has to learn and still some aspects of his game he has to develop. But you can definitely see that he's a hard worker. He's kind of got the right mentality as a quarterback to be great. And now it's just kind of, him getting over these moments in some of these games early on where he makes a mistake, but to learn from them quickly. But yeah, so they do that to, I think, tie the game. But once again, to overtime, the offense wasn't able to do anything, get the ball to the Cowboys. The defense at this point is basically spent, and yeah, they moved down the field, got the touchdown. So the Patriots fall to 2-4. But, just looking back on their first few games, you had the Damian Harris fumble against Miami to lose that game. You have this game against the Cowboys with the pick 6. And what was the other game? There was another game that they lost on the Bucs game, of course, with the field goal hitting the upright. That's 3 games right there. So 2-4, they could easily be 4-2. So that's kind of where the silver lining is in being 2-4. But they do have to realize that these little moments in these games are the difference in winning and losing. But I still think that there's an outside shot that they make a playoff run this year. They have the Jets coming up this weekend. It's a game that they should win. I'm expecting to see Mac Jones take another step in his development. Maybe continue to create a connection with Kendrick Bourne. Hopefully Aguilar can, be put in another situation to make a big play and not have a drop. We know that's something that he's done over his career. And he owned up to it after the game. He said he got eager, kind of took a look downfield before he caught it. Because if he didn't make that catch, there was a good chance he was going to get a nice gain out of it because he was cutting across the field and the only guy on that side was a safety. So, but anyway, yeah, Cowboys 5-1. I've never had a problem with Dak Prescott. He's tough. You'd have to say Dak Prescott is probably a top 5 quarterback in the league. Just thinking off the top of my head, you'd have, Brady, just Rodgers, maybe Josh Allen, Lamar. You can put Dak Prescott right there. I did omit Patrick Mahomes. Like I said, he's kind of struggled recently, so he hasn't been himself. But all things equal, you could make an argument for Prescott in the top 5 for quarterbacks in the game today. Patriots defense did bottle up Ezekiel Elliott for the most part. I think he had 56, 60 yards on the ground. And he was the guy over the previous couple of games was getting around 100. Plus he had Pollard. So it was clear that their plan was to bottle up the running game. They forced Prescott to kind of, take the ball down the field through the air. And he was able to do it. They did keep him out of the end zone somewhat in the first half, but yeah, they just wore down the defense because I think they ran several more plays than the Patriots, and it just took its toll on them as the game went on. So, like I said, Cowboys 5-1, clear-cut favorite in the NFC East, and Patriots fall to 2-4, still second in the AFC East, but a couple of games behind Buffalo. All right, Sunday night game was Seahawks Steelers. I took the Seahawks +5, even though they didn't have Russell Wilson. I had this I guess I was going off that, yeah, Geno Smith was going to be the starting quarterback, but I felt like they're going to, rally behind him, keep the game close, because the Steelers aren't exactly a juggernaut in the league. The Steelers' offense is middle of the road. Big Ben, we know his best days are way behind him. And this was another game that went to overtime. The key play was Seahawks had the ball. I feel like it was a second down play because Geno Smith dropped back. He tried to step up in the pocket, and he was looking to take off to get the first down, but T.J. Watt hit him from behind, stripped him. Steelers get the ball on their side of midfield. So they had the short field, couple plays, boom, 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 line up for the field goal, get the field goal, get the win in overtime, 23-20. So wait, I hit the wrong one, sorry. Because like I said, I took the Seahawks +5. But I did lose the Patriot one, so I guess we'll use that sound for that because I don't think I played it. But Steelers get the win, but the Seahawks cover, so I get the win. I get the win for that. Seahawks fall to 2-4. They're going to be without Russell Wilson for a few more weeks. It's probably going to get even rougher. I don't know if they'll win a game without him. So if he can't get back within a few weeks, the season might be in the toilet at that point by the time he gets back. But Steelers go 2-3-3, are at 500, and I guess they're trying to prove people like me and others who doubt them wrong. Because I said before the season, I'm not expecting the Steelers to be in the playoffs. I think right now, if the playoffs were to, happen tomorrow, the Steelers would be the 7th and final team in the AFC playoffs. I don't expect them to be at that position by season's end, but for right now, there's some building optimism in Pittsburgh. But yeah, as I've said the past few weeks, I'm not sold on Big Ben. And not really sold on the offense either. I guess mainly because of Big Ben. But we'll see. We'll see the next coming weeks. Can they get over 500, or do they go back below 500 and hit a little skid? I don't know. Because they have who coming up? They have the Browns coming up. I think they have their bye week. But then they have the Browns coming out of the bye week. We'll have to see what Baker Mayfield, if he's playing or not. They have the Bears. I mean, that could be a tough game for them. They got the Lions. I mean, it's the Lions. Then you're looking at Chargers, Bengals, Ravens. So the next 5 of their next 6 games have the potential to be tough. So 3-3 could very easily be like 4-9 in a month or so. Well, a couple of months. The Let's see. Now we're on to the final game. Bills Titans. So I took the Bills minus the 5.5 in this one. What was I thinking behind that? So my thing was I trusted Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and the Bills offense more than the Derrick Henry-centric Ryan Tannehill-led offense for Tennessee. And early on, it looked like the Bills were going to, win this game. Not necessarily handily, but it looked like they're going to pull off the win. But because of the way they were up, 31-24 going into the fourth. So right there, they were covering. But the Bills weren't able to, put any points up in the fourth to, extend their lead or anything. And the Bills got 10 points in the fourth quarter to take the 34-31 win. So now both teams are sitting at 4-2. The Titans are definitely looking better to me than they were a couple of weeks ago when they were kind of struggling. It's still the Derrick Henry show. So if he does well, the team does fine. If a defense can stop Derrick Henry, then they're in real trouble. For Buffalo, I'm not going to, give up on them or anything. Because I think Buffalo's going to win the AFC East. I mean, that's not really going out too much on a limb. But I wouldn't be shocked if the Bills were in the same position last year as they were last year, where they made the AFC Championship game, played a competitive game against Kansas City, losing that game late. Not necessarily sure Kansas City would be their counterpart in the AFC Championship this year, but I wouldn't be surprised if, Buffalo, Baltimore meet, or maybe Buffalo, Tennessee meet in the AFC title game. But I think Buffalo is a top-tier AFC team, so tough loss for them, but it was a close game, and not gonna get on them too much here. But yeah, so Derrick Henry, like I said, he's what makes the team go. He had 20 carries, 143 yards. That's a little over 7 yards a carry. I mean, that's crazy numbers there. And Tannehill, 18 for 29, 216, no touchdowns, interception. That's kind of their winning formula. Derrick Henry has to run for like 150 or more. You get about 200 out of Tannehill. The interception they're not going to like, but as long as he doesn't have multiple turnovers, they'll be in most games. And yeah, two interesting teams. We'll see once the season ends where they kind of shake out in the AFC. I still think Buffalo is better than Tennessee at this point, but I mean, Derrick Henry's a big X factor for Tennessee. If he's going to run 7 yards a carry, I mean, that's tough. That's going to put Tennessee in any game against anybody. So, but yeah, that was the weekend that was. So now, looking back at the 14 games we had, I ended the week 7-7. Another week at 500, so put that on the board. I'm now 47, 46, and 1 on the year. Picking underdogs. I was 13-9-1. How did I do going with underdogs this week? Let's see, 1, 2, 5. I went 4-5 picking underdogs this week. I did not realize I picked the underdog 9 times this week. Yikes. That's a lot. But so 4-5. That means for underdogs I'm what? 17, 14-1. That's not bad. But yeah. Like I said, that's the weekend it was. Later this weekend, like I said, before the kickoffs on Sunday, we will take a look at week 7. Can't believe we're already at week 7. Run through those games, give you my picks, quick little preview for each game, and we'll see if I can build upon 7-7. You know, get a week over 500, another one. Like I said, trying to get 60%. Still a game over 500, but see if we can do better than that. So yeah, that's what's going to come up next. And also we'll talk NBA. The season kicked off this week. Talk about what I've seen so far in the first week of the NBA. Talk about a couple of issues. Ben Simmons, for one. What else? I guess give season predictions. I can do that. Give you my playoff teams for the East and the West. All that good stuff. Well, you'll know what I'll do. I'll give you the full coverage. Maybe look at MVP candidates. I did that last year before the season. I'll do that again this year. We'll just talk NBA. So, hopefully you liked what you heard in this episode. If you can drop a comment or whatever, or follow me on Twitter at Chompin' Podcast. Let me know who your NFL team is and what you think about their season so far. If they're out of it, do you think they can bounce back? If you're a fan of one of the top teams, what do you think are their Super Bowl chances? Let me know. But yeah, definitely like the show wherever you're listening, as it is available on pretty much every platform for podcasts. Subscribe to the show if you haven't. And if you are over on YouTube, where you can listen to the episode as well. No, it's not a video podcast yet, but you can still go over to YouTube and listen to them. Like, dislike, whatever. Just let me know what you think and drop a comment as well. But thanks again for tuning in. As I say at the end of every episode, be safe out there. God bless. I'll catch you in the next episode. All right, I'm out.